Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 29, verse 83. It's just what I opened up to this evening. So, Etad Adyatma Pariyokshayam Gitam Devarshina Daha Ya Shravayed Ya Shmedyat Sa Lingena Vimuchate. Interesting verse. My dear Verdura, one who hears this narration concerning the understanding of the living entity's spiritual existence, as described by the great sage Narada, or who relates it to others, will be liberated from the bodily concept of life. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. This material world is created by the dreaming of Mahavishnu. The real, factual platform is the spiritual world, but when the spirit soul wants to imitate the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is put into the dreamland of material creation. After being in contact with the material modes of nature, the living entity develops the subtle and gross bodies. However, when the living entity is fortunate enough to associate with a devotee like Sri Narada Muni or his servants, he is liberated from this dreamland of material creation and the bodily concept of life. Om Agyan Timadandasya Gyanam Gyana Shalakaya Chakshuru Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapitam Deva Bhutale Shwayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svayam. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Very dear devotees, in his purport, Srila Prabhupada takes a cue, we could say in English, a cue from the verse itself. He compares material life to a dream. We all have dreams, and we know they're nonsense, so saying something. He compares material life to a dream. By definition, a dream is only an illusion. Of course, elsewhere, I read that Prabhupada said that when you have a dream of the spiritual master, that's very nice. The dream of the spiritual master, that's very nice. Recently I was in Mayapur and I had a dream, and I wanted to share it with my servants and my helpers, but I was a little shy. But I'll share it with all of you. It's a bigger crowd. I dreamt that I was with a number of my godbrothers, sitting with Srila Prabhupada. Radhanath Swami was there, Shivaram Swami was there, Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj was there, and Guru Prasad Swami was there. And Srila Prabhupada was saying to all these godbrothers that for your services, you are all going back home, back to Godhead. But I was off to the side in the dream. And I was feeling unhappy that I wasn't included in Prabhupada's statement. So Shivaram, in the dream, Shivaram Maharaj Swami, he turned to Prabhupada and pointing to me, he said with some compassion, "What about him?" meaning me. So Prabhupada said, "Is he a good boy?" I'm 75. Is he a good boy? And Shivaram Maharaj replied, in general, yes. So Prabhupada looked at me, then he looked at Shivaram Maharaj, and smiling he said, all right, Indraduma Swami can also come along. My dream. Then I woke up. So again, Prabhupada said that dreams are nonsense, but dreams of the spiritual master, dreams of Krishna, these are something special. When Prabhupada was a householder, later on in his household life, after he'd received instructions from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati to preach Krishna consciousness in the English-speaking language, he had his responsibilities as a householder, so he didn't take that up immediately. But later on, when he was getting towards his 50s, he would have dreams of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati would say, come, take sannyas. Come, take sannyas. Come, take sannyas. And Prabhupada said, I was horrified. It's a pastime. And eventually Prabhupada did take sannyas. So dreams of a spiritual nature can be encouraging, but generally dreams are illusion. And Prabhupada compares material life to a dream. But actually the dream or the illusion of material life is more like a nightmare, isn't it? Material life. Because in material life we have so many plans, we have so many projects, we have so many hopes for happiness, but either they're dashed by the material nature, or they never materialize, or if they do materialize, it's just tota. It's my only Hindi I know. Little happiness is there. So material life can be very frustrating. In my country, in America, they did a recent survey. And in that survey, only 5% of the people said they were happy in life. 5%. 5% said they were miserable, and 90% of the American population said they're bored. You know, America, the land of dreams. You know, many people from this country are going to America. America, America. But only 5% of the people were happy. 5% of the people were miserable, but most everyone's bored. So the happiness we're searching for is like a dream. Narottam puts it very aptly in his song Partana. It's song 4, text 21. He writes, the treasure of love of God has descended from the spiritual world of Goloka Vrindavan, appearing in this world as the Sankirtan movement of chanting the holy names of Krishna. Why am I not attracted to it? Day and night I burn from the poison of material existence, but still I refuse to take the antidote. What's the antidote? We just did the antidote. Chanting, dancing, and later we'll feast. This is the antidote. What is the poison of material existence that Narottam's referring to? Well, it's the temporary and miserable nature of this world, characterized by 4 very high walls. Like you're in a prison, there's 4 very high walls you can't escape. Birth, disease, old age, and death. Maximum security. When there's a really bad criminal, they'll put him in maximum security. No way out. Sometimes they get out, but I know a few prisons you'll never get out. And one of them is the material world. You can't escape birth. You can't escape disease. Everyone got COVID. You can't escape old age. And who can escape death? But despite these very stark realities, people imagine they're happy with a little bit of material enjoyment that we get. The soul's ananda. Soul means that the soul is created. The intrinsic nature of the soul is to always be happy. Always. No interruption. Just like the intrinsic nature of water, it's wet. The intrinsic nature of the sun is the sunshine. So what's the intrinsic nature of the Atma, the soul within the body? To ananda, to always be happy. And what's the highest happiness? Love. Love is the highest happiness. If you have everything in this world but you don't have someone to share it with, you can't be happy. But if you have nothing but the shirt on your back and you live in a grass hut, but you have a beautiful wife who loves you, husband, children, neighbors, countrymen, without anything you can be happy because love is the highest happiness. But in this world, love comes and goes, and at death, it's finished. So what we're really searching for is an eternal loving relationship with the supreme lover, Krishna. He's so great that he can satisfy the loving desires of every created being. You can love 5 or 10 people deeply. Krishna, he can love every created being to their full satisfaction, but not here, in this material world, in the spiritual world. So an intelligent person, he sees this as the alternative. Back home, back to Godhead. And he knows that in this world of birth and death, a little bit of sense gratification, that's not happiness. The Mahabharata puts it into clear perspective. You may have seen that painting. Once a man was chased by an elephant in a forest, and as the elephant was catching up to him, he climbed a tree to get away from the elephant. But as he climbed up, he started slipping, and as he was falling, he grabbed onto a branch, and he's hanging from the branch, swinging like this, midair. And when he looked around, he was shocked to see the elephant with his trunk around the tree, trying to pull the tree down. And he looked down, he saw a nest of snakes, cobras, at the bottom, waiting to bite him. When he lost his grip and fell down. And in the distance, he saw a tiger racing to the scene, hopeful to get an easy meal. He slipped and fell to the ground. Then, to his horror, he looked to the side, and where the branch was attached to the tree, there were 2 rats. One was white and one was black, and they were gnawing at the junction of the branch and the tree, which means into the nest of snakes and dinner for the tiger, and the elephant would stomp on him. And just at that moment, a swarm of bees came and started biting him, because the whole episode had shaken the tree, and the beehive was shaken, and the bees came out and they were stinging him. Can you imagine? It's a true story. And suddenly, one drop of honey fell from the beehive right here. And he licked it. And he thought, oh, how wonderful is this drop of honey. How much I'm enjoying here. True story. How much I'm enjoying here. Can you put these back in place? So here he is swinging, and it's just about to fall down. And the elephant's on the tree. He sees the tiger coming out of the jungle. He sees the cobras down below, ready to bite him. And the rats are biting the tree branch. And he's, oh my God, what's going to happen? And then the drop of honey comes. So death is represented by the elephant, chasing us relentlessly, birth after birth. The 2 black and white rats represent day and night, respectively, slowly reducing our duration of life. The hissing snakes represent the many obstacles that we face in life. And the tiger approaching represents the dangers that are awaiting us as we move forward in life. Padam padam yat vipadam natesham. And the honeybees, according to Mahabharata, they represent the daily problems we face. How many problems did you have today? If we put them all together in a basket in the middle of the room, it'd probably go to the ceiling. And the drops of sweet honey, they represent the little pleasure that we draw from this material existence. Actually, I heard Prabhupada say one time in London, he said, what is pleasure of this world? He said it's the relief from pain. Just like someone's pounding you on the head, boom, boom, boom. He stops. Ah, now I'm enjoying. That Prabhupada was, sadhu means he speaks the truth. Sadhu means when he speaks, he cuts our material attachments. It's not always pleasant to hear from the brahmanas. Tell us something sweet. First I'll tell you something sour. You give up your attachment to this world, then the sweetness of Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada said, material pleasure. What's material pleasure in this world? It's when someone stops bombing, hitting you on the head, and you think, oh, now I'm okay. But even after hearing this wisdom, we're slow to catch on, isn't it? Because Maya, the illusory energy of the Lord, is very expert in making it look very nice. That's her job. Maya, one form of Maya is Durga. I just came from Bengal. The worship of Durga is more popular than the worship of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Durga is the warden in the prison house. I was speaking of a prison. There's a warden. So Durga is the warden, and the business of the warden is to make sure you don't escape. So we big high walls and bars on the windows. But how does Durga keep us here? Until we desire to become Krishna conscious, and she takes away the illusion of material enjoyment. She makes it look all very attractive. Even demigods are attracted by her ingenious schemes. There's that verse, very first verse, Muyanti yat shuryaha tejavari midam yata vinimayo yatra tishargo. By him and her, even great sages and demigods are sometimes placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. I remember sailing with my father sometimes. We'd be out at sea, and the reflection of the sky on the water made it look like there was land. But there was no land there. It was all an illusion. So we're just tiny little jivatmas, so we can be easily fooled. But if we see things through tattvadarshi, tattva means the truth. If we see the truth from the darshis who have seen the truth, we get a clear picture and we can avoid Maya's traps, Maya's schemes. Tadvidi paripatena paripashna sevaya upadekshanti teginam ganinas tattvadarshna. You try to learn these truths of the material world and the spiritual world by approaching one of Krishna's representatives. You inquire from them, you serve them, and they can reveal the truth to you because they're tattvadarshis. They've seen. How have they seen? They've seen through Guru Shastra. They've seen through hearing the words of their spiritual master, and they've seen through studying the Vedic scriptures. It becomes very clear. Without that, we'll always be bewildered. Even demigods are bewildered. Even demigods make mistakes and fall down. So, once Srila Prabhupada described the power of illusion, he told the story of Duryodhana. You all know Duryodhana. So one time Duryodhana, he went to the imperial palace of the Pandavas in Hastinapur. Now that palace had been constructed by Maya Danava in such a way that it was very difficult to attack and conquer that palace. Maya Danava had created so many illusory things there that it was very hard. So Duryodhana, as you know, he was a Kshatriya, very powerful, handsome, famous personality. But when he entered that palace created by Maya Danava, as he was walking towards the chamber, the room of Yudhishthira, he saw a little pond right in the middle of the compound. And there was no way to go around it. He had to walk through it. And because it appeared quite deep, he quickly, you know how the Kachus wear those long coats? He lifted it very high, so high that his underwear showed a little bit, copins, and he walked forward. But actually there was no water. It was an illusion created by Maya Danava to protect the palace. It was a crystal platform. It was a blue crystal, and the sun was shining on it, so they made it look like it was water. So as he was walking, what he thought through the water, he actually just stayed on the crystal, and he walked with his coat up and his underwear showing. And all the ladies in the palace, they started laughing at this great, powerful Kshatriya. They made fun of him. He was so embarrassed. Then he walked a little further, and there was another pond. So he thought, I'm not going to be fooled again. That was just crystal. Maya Danava had created to make it look like water. I'm not going to do that. So this time, to cross the pond with the crystal, he just kept his clothes on and he started walking, but this time it was water. Maya Danava had made it look, like crystal, but it was actually water. He fell over. Then as he approached the palace, seeing the main door open, he tried to walk in, but it was another trick of Maya Danava. It was actually crystal, making it look like you could see through it, so he thought there was, just walk right in, but boom, he banged his head, fell down on the ground, and again the ladies, giggle, giggle, giggle. It's big, for Kshatriya, to be dishonored is worse than death. For one who has been honored, dishonor is worse than death. So they take these things very seriously. So 3 times. So embarrassed, he walked to the next door and he thought, this time I'm not going to be fooled. I'm not going to bump into another door like that. I'm just going to open it up and go through. So he tried to open it, but there was nothing there, and he fell down. And the ladies giggled again. So Prabhupada told this story to show how even great personalities can be fooled by Maya Danava. But we may think, I'm pretty smart, I won't be tricked by Maya's illusions. Handsome men, beautiful girls, fast cars, lots of money, name, fame. I won't be fooled by Maya. One time we were in London and Prabhupada turned to one of my godbrothers who was kind of, flirting with Maya, wasn't chanting his rounds, he was going to movies and things like this. So Prabhupada turned to him and said, Kula Shakar, the problem with you is you're not afraid of Maya. We have to be a little fearful to avoid her. Not true if you listen to the words of Guru and Gauranga. I'll share with you one more story to convince you of the power of illusion and how we have to always be on guard. How can we be on guard? We have a mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Rama, Hare. Prabhupada said mantras and jewels, they don't lose their potency in Kali Yuga. Everything deteriorates in Kali Yuga. Even the great mountains, the oceans, the seas. By the influence of time, everything deteriorates. But mantras and jewels never lose their potency in Kali Yuga. Maybe your astrologer has recommended a jewel for you. Okay. But the real protection is in the Maha Mantra, sound vibration. We know when Ram and Lakshmana and Sita were in the forest, Ravana sent Marichi, the deer, to take Ram and Lakshmana away from Sita so he could capture her. So Marichi went and he went into the forest and he was looking around, and Sita saw the deer. Marichi disguised himself as a deer. And being of a feminine nature, she said to Ram, I like that deer, he's so cute, please go capture that deer for me. So Ram said, well, this is a forest, there's Rakshasas here who have mystic powers, I don't know of it. No, Ram, you go, get me that deer. So Ram ran off into the forest to catch Marichi in the form of the deer. And while he was there looking for the deer, Marichi in the form of the deer took on Ram's voice and said, "Lakshman, help! Lakshman, help!" So Sita heard that. Lakshman's there protecting Sita. He didn't go. So Lakshman said, "No, that must be the voice of a Rakshasa. He's tricking us." Sita said, "No, that's the voice of your brother Ram. You go now." Lakshman said, "No." So Sita said, "Just see, you want to enjoy me." And Lakshman said, "My dear lady, I've never looked above your ankles." Vedic culture, so chaste. Everyone is so chaste. Sita, I've never looked above your ankles. He never looked at her in the face. I never looked above. She said, "Go." So before he went, Lakshman took his sword and he made a circle around Sita. And while doing so, in the dirt, he made a circle. He chanted one protective mantra. He left. So that was Ravana's chant. So Ravana came. Ravana means, his name literally in Sanskrit means, he who makes the universe scream. He who makes the universe scream. And he'd conquered, like Hiranyakashipu, he'd conquered the 14 worlds, the demigods were all his servants. Narada Muni was his foot servant. So Ravana comes, there's this fair young princess, delicate, no calluses on her feet, no, in a silk dress in the forest. And Ravana comes, disguised as a beggar, with an empty bowl, bhiksha. "Dear lady, please give me some fruit. I'm a hungry beggar." He said, "You don't have to be afraid of me. I'm just a beggar." And as he tried to touch her, he would touch that invisible barrier created by the mantra. Mantras have a protective nature. His skin was burning. Couldn't get close to her. All angles he tried. The greatest, most powerful asura the world's ever known. He couldn't get close. Only when she became a little weak and said, "All right, just wait." And she stepped forward out of the mantra. Boom, he got her. Flew off in his donkey chariot. Lanka captured her. So that's not just mythology, some poet's dream, Valmiki's making it up. No, this is the history of the universe. Purana. Purana means the ancient history of the universe. Bhagavat Purana, Shiva Purana. These are the histories. Srila Vyasadeva is no fool writing children's fables. Excuse me. This is the history of the universe. Showing, in this particular instance, many things, but the power of mantra. We have a very powerful mantra. We have the Maha mantra. Maha means the great chant for deliverance. And all the benefits you get from other mantras are there in the Maha mantra. So Raki Krishna Mare Ke, Mare Krishna Raki Ke. If you're chanting the mantra, Hare Krishna mantra. If Krishna wants to save you, no one can kill you. And if Krishna wants to kill you, no one can save you. Which side are you on? There's a line. Which side are you on? Are you going to follow Hiranyakashipu or are you going to follow Prahlad Maharaj? So we don't want to step over the line. Because Maya may attract us. She may make it so attractive that we may sometimes break regulative principles. There was a song in my country in the 1950s. Don't make promises you can't keep. A girl talking to her boyfriend, but in the general sense, we have made promises, we can't break them because we'll lose the protection and we'll lose the ultimate benefit of chanting Hare Krishna, which is prema, or love for God. But just to show you how powerful Maya can be, And as such, how sincere we have to be taking shelter in Krishna, in His holy name. This is a true story. I read it in a library in Jaipur, the King's Library actually. It's a true story written down by scribes, that once a king in Bengal asked his wife, the queen, what she would like for her birthday. You know what she said? I want to see a magic show. Okay, honey. So there was a very famous and popular magician in the countryside. People called him the best of the best. So the king invited the magician and asked him to come on his wife's birthday and do a magic show. And actually the whole, the extended family came. You know, the kings, they have nephews, and nieces, and aunts, and uncles, and the whole royal family came, and the ministers came, and many of the VIP people, I think there was 1,000, this is a true story, 1,000 people in the audience. So that the day of the magic show, the magician arrived with his family members. And as the show progressed, they were, taking rabbits out of hats, making cards, putting coins in the ear, pulling the coin out the other side. I don't know how they do that, but I think there's videos that show you how the magicians do their tricks, but I never watched them because then it's no fun. But this magician and his wife and his son and daughter they were doing all these tricks. And at one point, the wife of the magician, she was wearing a beautiful necklace. So her husband, the magician, said, "Give me the necklace." So his wife gave him the necklace. And he took the necklace up into the assembly and he gave it to the queen. So the wife's going, "Wait a minute, you gave my necklace away to the queen." And she slapped her husband on the face in front of the royal assembly. I mean, in the middle of a magic show, you took my, bam! She slapped her husband like that. So the magician slapped his wife back. And the elder son, who was very close to his mother, became very angry with his father. And he came and hit him in the face. And all the people were like, "What happened to the magic show?" And he hit him again, and he knocked the teeth out of his father for hitting his mother. So anger, people do crazy things. In a fit of rage, the father took his sword out and cut off the head of his son. And when he cut off all the blood, the arteries spurted, there's blood everywhere. So then his wife, seeing that her husband had killed their son, she charged her husband with a dagger and stabbed him in the heart and killed him. Tore his heart out, threw the bloods everywhere. So then her daughter took the sword that was on the ground and killed the mother. And then the daughter took the dagger and killed herself. So this is a horror story. What am I telling, a horror story here? But it's a true story. And there was just blood flowing like a river everywhere. So the king and the queen, they stood up and they apologized. "We're really sorry. We wanted a magic show, but look what happened. We're really sorry." And he said, "Everyone leave." And the servants came and they're sweeping up the blood, and so bodies were dragged out. 6 months later, a courier came with a letter. In the old days, they'd roll it up and tie it with a ribbon. A courier came with a letter for the king. And it said, "To the king, the queen, and the royal assembly, please read." Very important. It had a stamp on it with gold. And this is a very important message from someone. I'll read it to the family. And this is what the letter said. My dear king, all glories to you. I hope you liked our magic show. As you know, I'm the best magician in the country. I offered you the highest price and you paid for it. So how did you like the show? Me, my wife, my daughter and son, we're all fine. We're enjoying the great gift that you gave us and that you paid us before the show. We just wanted to say thank you. Hope the show was not too much for all of you. It was all magic, but now you know it. The screaming, the killing, the blood, it was all an illusion. Don't ask me how we do it, but we can come back again if you want. It's a true story. This is written and described in the official document. So if an ordinary magician can create an illusion like that, what about Maya Devi? What about Maya Devi? She's so powerful. So what's our hope? Davyesha gunamayi mamamaya duratya. This divine energy in mind, Krishna says, consisting of the three modes of material nature, is difficult to overcome, but those who have surrendered unto me can easily overcome it. We're very small in this material world, the illusion is very great. But although we're very small, we take shelter of Krishna, we're protected. One time Prabhupada was walking on the beach in Mumbai with his scientists, devotees, and they're walking on the beach. There's a little colony of crabs, 30 or 50 meters down the beach. And as they're getting closer to the crabs, all the crabs, crabs move sideways. Funny thing. They all went into the ocean. So Prabhupada said, why did those crabs go into the ocean? So the scientist, Bhakti Damodar Maharaj and Satyaputa, they say, Prabhupada, because the pressure of our feet are creating energy, electric energy, going to the bodies of the crabs, and the sea fibers in the brains of the crabs say, go left. Prabhupada said, no, that's not why they're going into the ocean. They're very small and they sense danger, so they've taken shelter of the great. By taking shelter of the great, they're protected. So we're very small and in a dangerous world, but we can take shelter of the greatest. Who's the greatest of the great? Bhagavan Shri Krishna ki. But he's very far away in Vaikuntha. No. Kali Kali Nam Rup Krishna Avatar. In this age, he's descended in the form of his name. So if we chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Did you hear them? I did. What did you say? Very good. One time Prabhupada had to go to court in Calcutta, but there was some dispute with the land. He came with his disciples. You can imagine. There was a court case. So Prabhupada walked into the courthouse with all the lawyers, present, and he said to his disciples, this whole atmosphere is polluted with the lies of the lawyers. I hope none of you are lawyers. Prabhupada said lawyer means liar. You're all IT. So Prabhupada said, Kirtan. And one of the Prabhupada, we're in a courtroom, the judge is there, it's the court case. Prabhupada said, Kirtan. So, Hare Krishna, and they're dancing around, and the judges, whoa, and the lawyers, whoa, and don't Haribo. Prabhupada said, stop. The whole atmosphere has been purified with the chanting of Hare Krishna. So we're in a sleeping condition. We don't realize all these things, so we have to wake up by hearing from Guru and Garanga. Just like Mahaprabhu said, Jeev Jago, Gaur Chandra Bodh. How long will the people stay sleeping in the lap of illusion? And when you're sleeping, dreaming, your material happiness is something wonderful. The only way you can wake up a deep sleeping person, how do you wake up let's say You're sleeping in your apartment and a thief comes to steal. You can't see him. You can't touch him. You can't taste him. None of your senses will alert you to the danger. But if he makes a mistake, bangs into the door, you can hear him. So Prabhupada said, in the same way, we're sleeping in illusion. The only way you can wake up to this challenge of Maya, taking shelter of it, is by hearing. Omana Vrita Shabdat. By sound we become liberated. And this sound is so powerful, it can even deliver creatures who are in deep ignorance. Like when Mahaprabhu went to the Jharikanda forest, what happened? The deer and the tigers heard the chanting from the lips of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and all their illusion was gone. They became pure devotees, and they embraced each other and started singing Hare Krishna. That's not a children's story. That's fact. I went there. I went to the Jharikanda forest, to the place where Mahaprabhu had that kirtan. It's deep in the jungle. It takes a long time to get there. There's a couple sadhus. And when that kirtan was going on, it was so ecstatic, the rock melted in ecstasy. The rock melted. I went there. It looked like a volcano had been there. The rock, it was all melted. But the footprints of the elephants were there. The footprints of the tigers were there. The footprints of the deer that were there, right close together. The snake prints, the birds, everything was all there. It was all real. And the footprints of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were also there. He was 7 feet tall, so his feet. And there was one embedded in the rock. So I bowed down and put my head inside that footprint. And one of the pieces of rock embedded in my skin. And it was bleeding. I said, no problem. I took that rock and put it in this kabachi here. Footprint of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is inside this guy. So he's given us a mantra that can wake up even the most ignorant persons, what to speak of you and me. And when we wake up from this dream of material existence, what will you see? When you wake up in the morning, right? You see what? You see your wife, you see your husband, you see the toothpaste, you see the mirror, oh God, I look horrible. But when you wake up from the illusion of Maya, what do you see? That's described. Having obtained real knowledge from a self-realized soul, you will never fall again into such illusion. For by this knowledge you will see that all living beings are but part of the Supreme, or in other words, that they are mind. In other words, you wake up, you'll see who you are beyond the body. You'll see Krishna, and you'll see the devotional service that you can offer the Lord. This is what it means to wake up. So we're in a deep sleep. There's a nap. Prabhupada used to, I remember in Paris one time, Prabhupada said, I'm going to take a snap. And we said, excuse me? I'm going to take a snap. He meant nap, but Prabhupada's English wasn't so perfected at that time. So, I'm going to take a snap. I said, oh, a nap. One devotee said, a nap. Yeah, Prabhupada said, yes, nap. So we take naps, right? Maybe in the afternoon or something. Then we go to sleep. But then there's a deeper state called comatose. Maybe someone's sick and they go into a coma. But deeper than a coma is the ignorance of material existence. That's like a sleeping condition. Total ignorance of who we are, who is God, what is my relationship with Him. But in that deep ignorance, we can wake up if we hear Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. But I've been chanting Hare Krishna for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. I'm still tricked by Maya sometimes. While I'm chanting, some materialistic thought comes to mind and I follow it for 2 rounds. And I come back, Hare Krishna. Why haven't I seen myself, seen Krishna and our eternal relationship? Well, because we were asleep for a long time. And if you sleep a long time, when you wake up, it takes a long time to get up. but it will happen. Just like a businessman. He goes to sleep, and after a few minutes he remembers, oh yes, I'm a businessman, I have to get to work. So it depends how long. Brahmanda Brahmatikonya Bhagavan Jeev Guru Krishna Prasad Bhaye Bhakti Lata Beach. We may have been here for millions of years. So to become self-realized, it may take a little time. One time when one of my god sisters came before Prabhupada for initiation vows, Prabhupada said, what are the 4 regulative principles? She said, Prabhupada, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, and no gambling. And I promised to chant a minimum of 16 rounds every day. So Prabhupada leaned over and he said, why a minimum? Why not more? The more you chant, the more the fog of material existence is dissipated. And at that point, and it will come, when you become a pure devotee, what will happen when you reach that stage of prema and Krishna sees you? Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has written, at that moment when you become a pure devotee and Krishna is standing before you, he writes what happens. It's quite deep. He says the moment you reach the stage of prema, the Lord reciprocates with such a devotee in amazing ways. First of all, he enlivens that devotee with the sense of sight, revealing his Tribhanga Sundar form to the devotee. Then he manifests his ambrosial fragrance. So upon smelling that fragrance of the Lord, the devotee faints. Then the Lord desires to rescue his devotee from that fainting condition, and he engages that devotee in the sense of hearing. He calls out to that devotee, my dear devotee, I am now captivated by your love. I am fully under your control. Do not be overwhelmed. Just look at me again and fulfill the desire of your heart. And from that slumber of smelling the fragrance of the Lord, the devotee wakes up. And next the Lord reciprocates with that devotee's mood. Whatever your rasa is with the Lord. If it's servant, dasya, the Lord, Vishnu said, he puts his feet on your head. Everyone has an eternal relationship. It's in the heart. Can't be changed. If you're a servant, you're very happy. So when you become self-realized and your dasya, Lord puts his feet on your head. And if your relationship with the Lord is sakya-ras, meaning friendship, the Lord takes your hand and he puts his fingers like this in your hand, like we do with our friends sometimes. And if your relationship is vatsalya, like seeing Krishna as your child, you'll start crying and the Lord will wipe the tears away from your eyes. And if your relationship is madhurya ras, Krishna will bring you to his chest and puts his arms around you and embrace you. Then the Lord fully awakens the devotee's sense of spiritual taste by taking the chewed remnants of what he's been eating and he puts it in the mouth of his devotee. Very deep. We don't usually finish our lectures with such, but just to give you, a preview. I think when you go to the movies these days, they show a preview of the next movie. This is the preview of what we're waiting for when we stop getting tricked by the witch of Maya and we chant sincerely, taking shelter of Krishna, and that chanting brings us to the stage of prema. This is what we are. So we have so much to look forward to. Don't ever get disappointed. Prabhupada said to one of my godbrothers, when you get back home, back to Godhead, your spiritual master is waiting for you. And he takes your hand, he leads you into the forest, and he puts your hand in Krishna's hand and leaves the two of you together for a while. That's the goal. So therefore, we can struggle with Maya, overcome Maya, our doubts and illusions. We can believe it's true and take shelter in the great Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.